Welcome to Breaking Through Health Barriers. This is your host, Dr. Terry Wenner, bringing you wisdom, wit, and encouragement for healthy living. If you haven't met me before, I'm an educator, a registered nurse, a health podcaster and blogger, and I'm so glad you decided to listen in today. Welcome to episode 7. In today's episode, I will be sharing about my personal experiences with overcoming depression, and I'll be discussing some of the treatment options that can be helpful to everyone who struggles with this disorder. We'll also be discussing the importance of avoiding drinking your calories, and lastly, I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the health benefits of using Pinterest. So let's get started. My fight and victory over depression. Well, I want to start out by saying I really feel that I've been very blessed in life. I've never gone hungry or had to unintentionally sleep in the cold. Now camping, that's a whole nother story that we'll save for another day. But my basic needs have always been met. I've been in relatively good health all my life. My parents, who are both over 70, are still living, and they are also in fairly good health. I've been married for over 25 years to a wonderful husband, Russ, and I have 2 healthy grown children. I learn easily, and I've had multiple opportunities to gain knowledge through education. And I'm one of those oddball people that actually crave self-help books and always trying to improve myself, regardless of any pain that may be involved. But there is one battle that nearly broke me, and that was my battle with depression over 20 years ago today. I found that no matter what I achieved in life, I always felt that something was missing. I had great difficulty finding contentment and happiness in my daily existence. And when I went to work, I stayed busy, saving lives in a local hospital, and it allowed me to escape that pain and emptiness for a little while. But each time when I came home, in the quietness of my home, when everyone else went to bed and all the chores were done for the day, I would often just cry and be saddened by the fact that this seemed to be all there was in life. I became hopeless and started to think that life was worthless. At one point, I was on the verge of being suicidal, wondering if the world would be better off without me in it. And I desperately sought to end my pain. If you've met me in the last 10 years or so, you probably find that story hard to believe. How could I possibly have fallen so low and fallen so deeply into a pit of despair? Today, people who know me see me as a high achiever, a little bit Energizer Bunny-like, and always ready to take on the next challenge. But truthfully, during those years when I suffered very badly with depression, there were some days that I had no desire to get out of bed, and I only did so because of the obligations that I had and my inability to intentionally let others down. But that saga just kept going on. I kept going through the motions, feeling horrible inside, but I kept my pain bottled up pretty good. Most people that would see me would have no idea that I was suffering so badly. Now, there were moments of joy, like seeing my children take their first steps or say their first words, but those feelings of doom and gloom kept returning. Finally, my husband helped me set up an appointment with our family physician and at least gave me an opportunity to discuss the problem. He referred me to a psychologist and suggested that I start regular counseling, but there were problems setting up an appointment, and I got the insurance runaround, and depressed people are not likely to fight for their rights. They're more likely to just forget about it, and so that's what I did. I just let several months go by without ever scheduling that appointment. But enough was enough. But enough was enough. If there was a way out of that hole, I needed to find it. I felt like a bad mother, and my poor children were stuck with what they got. My husband never knew what kind of mood I would be in, whether there would be dinner on the table when he got home or not. Our marriage started to suffer, and literally everything started to suffer. So I finally got the nerve to call again, and this time I was able to schedule an appointment. Almost immediately after beginning counseling sessions, I really began to start to feel better. I was soon after started on a medication which was designed to increase my serotonin levels, and I also began seeking spiritual guidance as well. I needed physical, emotional, and spiritual help. And the ironic thing is, to an outsider, you may not even have realized that I had a problem at all. Beyond all the honest-to-goodness treatment I was receiving, one of the most comforting things was just knowing someone else cared and was trying to help me. And for the first time in a long while, I felt there was true hope. I know some of you prefer to listen to my podcast compared to reading my blogs, but I do want to make you aware that this past week, on December 1st, I spoke about depression in a blog entitled Depression Management Tactics: How to Manage It Before It Manages You. I invite you to take a look at that post as I highlight several physical, emotional, and spiritual treatment options that were very helpful for me personally, and I believe will also be helpful for you or a loved one. For example, did you know that not getting enough sleep or well-balanced meals can promote depression? Sometimes simple changes such as sleeping better or eating healthier can actually make a big difference. So those were two things that I had to work on right away. I tended to be a bit workaholic and would not sleep adequately. I was one of those people who always had trouble taking a nap when the babies were asleep. I had to change that. I had to get enough sleep so that I would not continue to fall down this pit. Additionally, another big thing that helped me was I found a book. Believe it or not, I was walking through a Walmart one day and found this book that I just randomly decided to purchase. It was called How to Win Over Depression by Tim LaHaye. He is also the author of the Left Behind series, if you've heard about that ever. So although this book is not a new book, I do believe that the valuable information in it is still very applicable today. And so I do have a link in my show notes to that book if you'd like to check that out. In wrapping up my discussion of depression, I just want to encourage you that if you or anyone that you know or love is having problems, that you seek out help today. If you are experiencing any of the concerning symptoms that I'm going to list in a minute, it's not something to just ignore and toss to the side. These are serious things that really deserve treatment, and there is hope for a better future for you. So let's talk about this a little bit further. I'm not going to tell you that I never have a bummer of a day. We all have bad days, but I can confidently say that I have been healed of depression. Some of it came right away. Some came over months or years of working through different issues, but I am no longer a victim. I know what I need to do to stay out of that pit. I intentionally choose the things that will keep me healthy. And, anyone can find and receive help. Anyone can start to see improvement in a very short period of time. But the first step is to reach out for help. Reach out to any of your healthcare providers, and I'm certain that they will point you in the right direction. So now this list of symptoms. So this comes from the National Institute of Mental Health, and there is a link in the show notes for that as well. But listen to this list and see if any of these things are chronic problems for you. Difficulty concentrating, remembering details, and making decisions. Fatigue and decreased energy. Feelings of guilt, worthlessness, or helplessness. Feelings of hopelessness or pessimism. Insomnia, early morning wakefulness, or the opposite, excessive sleeping. Irritability and restlessness. Loss of interest in activities or hobbies that once were pleasurable to you, including sexual activity. Overeating or appetite loss. Again, both extremes can be a problem. Persistent aches or pains, headaches, cramps, or digestive problems that don't seem to ease with treatment. Persistent sad, anxious, or empty feelings. And certainly thoughts of suicide or suicide attempts. So I hope that gives you a little bit of understanding about, how someone else went through that and how you too can find solution to your problem. Okay, our next portion of today's episode is Dr. Terry's health tip and challenge of the week. So today's tip actually comes from my husband, Russ, who heard about this suggestion on a podcast that he used to listen to fairly regularly. The podcast was called One Meal, One Workout by Aaron Butler, and I do have a link in the show notes for this. Although this podcast is no longer recording new episodes, you can still find the archived episodes at the website. And again, that is listed in the show notes for you. But Aaron proposed that one way we can drastically reduce the number of calories we take in is to only drink non-caloric drinks and save your calories for actual food. So, hearing this idea kind of leaves people with one of two questions. And we're going to talk about each of these. The first is, what can I drink? All right, so what is non-caloric that is actually going to be okay? And then the other thing is, if I don't drink calories, won't I be missing out on important nutrients that I would normally get from them? So let's deal with each one of these separately. The first one, what can I drink? Well, the absolute best thing that you can drink is purified, clean water. You have to make sure that your water is safe to drink, and I know that's not available for everyone in all parts of the world at all times. So you need to make sure that you are getting purified water. Sometimes we have to resort to bottled water. Sometimes we can have filters placed on our taps at home or on your refrigerator. Our family uses a Brita filter, and that gives us pretty good quality water. So water is certainly top on the list, and you have to be careful that you're not adding things to that are going to jack up the calories too much. The next things on the list are coffee or tea that don't have anything added to them. So that means no milk, no creamers, no sugar, and no sugar substitutes. So that's difficult for some people, but this is a change that you can make. So, your body adapts to things that you do to it. I know that everybody has different styles of things they like. You like those things because you've been eating them for years. We just had Thanksgiving dinner at our home. People like certain meals at Thanksgiving, the way their mom made it or the way their grandmom or dad made it. So that's normal. So you can adapt to these changes too. You can start to be okay with tea that doesn't have, honey and sugar and milk in it. Plain tea is good. The same goes for coffee. I haven't been totally able to wean myself off of nothing in the coffee. I do put 1% milk in it, but I have to count that in my calories for the day. So it would be much more, advantageous if I just gave up that milk in the coffee. Now, the one caveat is that when you are drinking coffee and tea, you are going to be getting certain levels of caffeine depending on what choices you make. And today's episode is not going to focus on caffeine specifically, although that's a great topic for the future. You do have to realize that too much caffeine is not a good thing. So my recommendation is to go with decaf, half-calf coffee options, and also herbal teas that don't have any caffeine at all. So those are great things to choose. So you do have some options. I also drink an unsweetened iced tea. That's another option for those times of the year where you want a cold drink, and hot drinks in the winter. Okay, now the other question is, won't I be missing out on some important nutrients by not drinking calories? So think about the types of things that you're ingesting calories in. Sometimes we drink healthy juices, so we convince ourselves we need that dose of vitamin C. So, we got to get that orange juice in the morning, and, vegetable drinks, aren't they good for me too? Well, once again, you have to look at the whole situation. A lot of times vegetable drinks are high in sodium, and we don't want to load up our bodies with sodium. And sometimes when we drink juices, we just drink way too much, and we've kind of overdosed ourselves on the vitamins. So research has shown that eating the actual fruit or vegetable is a much healthier option. And by eating an orange or grapefruit, you're also receiving fiber, having the benefit of chewing. Juice goes down very quickly, but if you have to chew an orange, you'll be doing that for a while. You'll feel more satisfied. You'll feel fuller when you're done. So it's easy to drink way more juice than you need. And, I've never seen anyone overdo it with eating too many grapefruits. So you have to kind of take that into consideration. So here's a sample for you, what I'm talking about. Let's look at oranges and orange juice so in comparison. So one small orange has 45 calories, 85% of your daily recommended vitamin C, and a 2.3 grams of fiber as well. So that's good. All of that is good for you. On the other hand, an 8-ounce glass of fresh orange juice, which is also a good thing. Listen to this. So now we're up to 112 calories, 345% of your daily recommended vitamin C, so way more than you actually need, and you only get 0.5 or 0.5 grams of fiber. So, it's not as beneficial. You could cut that in half and have only 4 ounces of juice. That would cut everything down a bit. But again, are you going to feel satisfied? Are you going to feel like you chewed something and actually ate, or is it just going to go down and fill you up with way more calories than you need? So something to think about. And juices are actually one of the better choices for us. Just think about how many calories have you taken in your lifetime with milkshakes, alcoholic beverages, heavily creamered coffee, and other types of options. I know I've had way too many calories of those things. Now, if you've listened to me before, you already know this, but I never recommend totally cutting something out of your life forever. When you forbid yourself to have something, you only make matters worse. So what I do say is that you should limit those to special occasions. For example, if you're an eggnog buff, well, splurge once or twice a year, but that's it. You cannot keep a constant supply of eggnog going. High calories, very concerning if you have way too much of that. The same goes for milkshakes. Have a milkshake on your birthday, no problem, but don't have one every week, so you get the picture. So today's challenge for you is actually, it's a 3-day challenge. So the first day, I want you to actually calculate how many calories you're taking in with beverages. So this is just a recording thing, Okay, so if you had orange juice, milk, I'm not talking about mixing things into your food because we'll count that as food. But if you're having something in a cup with a straw or just drinking it out of the cup, water bottles, those kind of things, I want you to count all the calories that you take in through beverages for just one day. Why don't you do that tomorrow? And then on day 2, you get to evaluate the list. Look at the list. Decide if there's anything that can be replaced with something non-caloric. Can you cut out that sugar from your coffee? Can you cut out that high-calorie creamer? Can you replace your glass of milk with dinner with water and cut back on that? All kinds of options. You have to look at your situation and decide what's best. And then on day 3, you put your plan into action. So whatever you've decided can be replaced, do it. And I certainly don't expect you to change everything overnight. So if you found that you're really high on calories through your drinking, then, make a choice to replace 1 or 2 of those things each week until you wean yourself into a place where that's good. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to have more calories for food. So if you want to have an extra helping of something, you'll be able to do it. I know that I enjoy a dark chocolate square after my dinner, and that's 60 calories. So 60 calories for someone that is, 6 foot tall and 250 pounds may not be a big deal. But for someone like myself, I'm 4'10" and just a little over 100 pounds. I cannot afford extra calories. I will put on weight very quickly. And so that is something I have to consider. So if I can cut out the calories in the drinks, I can go and have my little chocolate piece after dinner, those kind of things. Okay, so that's your challenge for the week. The next part of our podcast is going to talk about Pinterest for health benefits. So I know that some of you are probably, very good with Pinterest, know all about it, use it all the time. Some of you may never have heard about it. That's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to start so that everybody is on the same page here. We're going to start with just talking about what Pinterest is. So Pinterest is a visual bookmarking tool that allows you to discover and save creative ideas. And when you find something that's worth bookmarking, you get to do what's called pinning it. So pins are visual bookmarks. And each pin you see on Pinterest links back to the site where it came from, so you can learn more about something, like, how to make it or where to buy it. So let me explain this a little bit further. So everyone knows what a bookmark is. If you put a bookmark in a paper book, you're reading a novel or a self-help book like I tend to do, you put a physical bookmark in the book. That works great if you have, things that are on paper. But when it comes to electronic devices, you can't always do it that way. So what happens in electronic pinning is that you push a button and it allows you to save that place. I use that with my Kindle books all the time. I just put a little bookmark so I know where I left off and where I should come back to when I'm ready to start reading again. Well, in the Pinterest world, when you do a bookmark, it allows you to find that again in the future. So what we see already is that people use Pinterest for all different types of things. Some people use it for fashion trends. They like to see that new outfit or that new wedding dress, fashion that came out, or different ways to wrap scarves around your neck, or different color choices, all kinds of great things. Other people prefer to use them for do-it-yourself crafts. And this time of year with Christmas coming, decorating occurring, there's lots of great options on Pinterest for you to find how to do things yourself. Another great way to use Pinterest is for finding new recipes. So I have a family member who is gluten-free. That's a new diagnosis that came out in the last year. So we had to make some gluten-free options at our Thanksgiving dinner this year. So where did I find those recipes? On Pinterest. I found a great link that was 50 great side dishes for Thanksgiving gluten-free options. So there's great options, but why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because there are great health-related things on Pinterest too, and I think that might be an underused type of experience for people. They don't know that there's all these health things there. So I just want to tell you a little bit about what I did to try to see how much health stuff is on there. So, for example, if you enter the word health in the Pinterest search engine, you will find that there are over 50 subcategories. That's 50, people. That's a lot of subcategories. That even impressed me, and I'm not easily impressed. So just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about with subcategories, here's a list of 10 ideas that came out of the word health. So you could click on health and wellness, health and fitness, health tips, health, chicken-related health, food-related health, health quotes, natural health, mental health, skin health, motivation health, and the list goes on and on and on. I didn't include all 50 in today's podcast, but you can check that out for yourself. So what happens is, let's pick motivation. So health motivation. If we clicked on health motivation, we would see all kinds of things that other Pinterest users have found that has to do with health motivation, and we would get to visually see them. So they might be things to think about related to, ways to get more motivated to be healthy. I read one recently that was, failure's not the end, failure's the beginning. This is a way to springboard into better things. So some of them are neat pictures, some are cute sayings, some might be a list that someone posted. Additionally, there's a lot going on with infographics where people are putting their motivation tips or health tips into graphic form, and you can visually see them. Much like a picture, you would be seeing a infographic full of information that's related to health. There's also links to blogs, so you could click on a blog post and read more about that. And as I mentioned earlier, there are people who are using Pinterest to sell items as well. So if you are selling great, exercise gear, sneakers, weights, workout clothes, headbands, videotapes, whatever related to health, a lot of times you can find those pinned on Pinterest as well. Companies are using it to, advertise their products to get the word out. So, just to let you know a little bit about my Pinterest account, if you haven't already checked it out, I certainly invite you to do that and follow me. I currently have 22 boards. So they are basically, boards are separate areas where you pin things, and it allows you to organize them a little bit. So I have a variety of things. They range from emotional health to recipes worth sharing. So I'm not going to read all of them. You're going to have to go check that out for yourself, but certainly I have a lot of options, and depending on what your interest lies in right now, you can follow all my boards, or you could just focus on one or two that meet your personal needs. So for me personally, I like Pinterest because it allows me to always be learning something new. So it could be new recipes, new exercise techniques. I can be personally inspired through motivational quotes, healthy living tips, and plenty more. I even have like a awesome pictures board as well, because it makes you happy to see things that are beautiful, especially things that are nature related. I posted a couple pictures, or I pinned a couple pictures of Niagara Falls. We're hoping to visit that in the near future, and I was there once before, but it's been a long time, and just seeing those pictures can really make you a happier person, seeing pictures of wonderful things. So that kind of wraps up what I wanted to talk about in today's podcast. Our 3 reflection questions for you, which I certainly encourage you to post comments in our comments section on the website. But the first reflection question: are you or anyone you know suffering from uncontrolled depression? So I'm not talking about having a bad day. I'm talking about having a lot of bad days. If so, I want you to make a plan to find help. And if it's not you personally, make a plan to try to encourage someone to find help. Have them listen to this podcast. I mean, I'm a personal example, the poster child for somebody that went from down in the pits to the top of the mountain, and I've been able to stay healthy for a long time. It is possible. So that's the first reflection question. The second one is, how many calories are you drinking on an average day? So what are you drinking, and how many calories is it? And then lastly, have you seen my Pinterest board yet? If not, I want you to take a moment and check that out right now. My username is Dr. Terry Wenner, DrTerriWenner, or you can also connect through my drterrywenner.com website. But I put a link in the show notes as well if you prefer to go that way. Okay, wrapping things up, episodes of the podcast are now available for download on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play Music, Android, and RSS. So if you haven't already, I encourage you to subscribe so you get the episodes automatically and you don't have to search around for them or miss any. I also want to take a moment to just ask if you do use any of the products that offer the ability to leave a honest review. iTunes and Stitchers for sure offer those. I'd appreciate it if you would take a few minutes to leave an honest review. I know that I have iTunes reviews, but I haven't reached the magic number of 5 yet, so they don't show up until you reach 5. So I would encourage you to do that if you haven't done so already. You're also invited to go to my website and sign up for regular updates, so you'll be notified when I post a new blog post, post a new podcast, or have any special information that I want to send out to just my special followers. So you can do that. And if you prefer the other types of social media, you can certainly follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, or Google+. So I'm also there as well. Whatever strikes your fancy is fine with me. So, thank you for tuning in. This is Dr. Terry Wenner, and together we're breaking through as many health barriers as possible to live happier, healthier lives. Until next time, enjoy each and every day you're given, and have a wonderful holiday season.